Hello and welcome to the newspaper show with me, Varun Hiremat. Cheryl won't be joining us this morning. Let's begin with our usual reminder that the newspapers are safe. All the presses are taking the utmost measures on the health front. Gloves, masks, all of that are being used. So please make sure that you don't believe the false rumors about the papers. And if you'd like to get your own copy, please go to wantmypaper.com. But switching gears now, the top stories of this morning. We have the fact that the FM announced her measures for the migrants last night. That's perhaps the largest single development. Tech to ensure grains to migrants. That's the next big story of this morning. Then we have jobs, give us workers. That's what the FMCG companies are saying to the government. That's the third headline for this morning. The fourth one is AtmaNirbhar, not about protectionism. That's what Piyush Goyal has come out and said. That's an article in the paper today as well. 6 informal GoMs devising post-lockdown IT plans. That's another key story. The lockdown may continue in Maharashtra hotspots. That is yet another headline coming out of Maharashtra, not looking too positive for the COVID virus. And railways cancel all tickets till 30th June. So that's a new development as well. Last three, more companies in talks for remdesivir license. So it seems that it's a promising drug and a lot of the pharma companies are willing to license it as a counter-COVID measure. Multiplexes' pain as Amazon Prime's gain. So the OTT movies are definitely going to be seeing a surge, and we all know that cinemas aren't exactly where consumers want to go right now. So definitely the likes of PVR, Inox will be under pressure and facing some problems going forward. And then Vijay Mallya yesterday lost his plea to appeal. So things not looking too positive for him. Also, quickly switching over to page 4 of the Economic Times today and getting you the markets. We have the first story in that SEBI relaxes minimum holding norms. So there's been some change for minimum 25% public stake in listed companies. Regulator eases requirement for companies who needed to comply between March 1st and August 31st. The next one is stimulus for MSMEs. NBFCs fail to cheer the Lal Street. So if you just look at the way the markets have performed over the last 2 days, looking at the fact that it's been 2 days of heavy stimulus announcement, things not looking too positive. Perhaps that has something to do with the weakened global cues as well. Our market saw ocean of red yesterday. Next story for me, strapped CIL eyes first ever bond issue. So we've been hearing about the various bond issues that are going to be coming up for funding, and this is yet another one. Bond Street cheers enhanced credit flow. So at the same time, while the government and the Fed now come out and say that they too will be picking up bonds from the corporate sphere, whether it be from NBFCs or from AA corporates, the bond market seems to be experiencing a little more cheer. And finally, a quote from Trump, the US is looking at Chinese companies on exchange. So that's quite self-explanatory, nothing additional I could add there. Let's now move forward quickly to the top corporate stories of this morning. Now, in the corporate stories, you have Patanjali planning swadeshi only portal, orderme. And then you have Asian Paints hiking salaries to boost morale. So that's, I find, quite interesting. A lot of corporates, the larger ones, are slashing salaries. We saw a notice from Kajaria Ceramics where some of their employees were taking as much as a 50% pay cut. Does not seem to be the case at Asian Paints. They'll be paying to retain their talent. AURO settles insider trading case with the SEBI. So that's a really positive thing for them. That pharma company, never good when SEBI is really coming at you with any kind of accusations. It seems that those issues have now been resolved. ED arrests DHFL promoters. So that is quite a large development and quite concerning, but again, self-explanatory. And NMDC, looks to restore full production in a month. So as all the capacities nationwide slowly ramp up and improve their utilization levels at their factories, NMDC too will be no exception. All right, and now coming to the big story of this morning, obviously we're going to have to go to the front page for that, and that would be Nirmala Sitharaman's announcement yesterday for the migrant workers. Now, this is the second tranche of stimulus measures. The first one was more for the MSMEs. and it had some EPFO details. The next tranche, which we saw yesterday, seems to be geared towards the slightly lower class of the pyramid, more towards the farmers, towards the migrant workers. So there's been numerous reliefs announced, and I'm not going to bore you with the details and go through everything. But what you need to understand is that additional food to the tune of around 3,500 crores in the form of grains and pulses has been dished out to migrant workers. There will be cheaper rental and housing accommodations made for them. Even for street vendors, let me add, a lot of these measures apply there. You're going to look at cheap loans for very small businesses of up to 1,500 crores. Loans for your street vendors, like I said earlier, will be around 5,000 crores. So really coming out and supporting the poor who are most hit by this virus. A lot of them are homeless, they have no food security, they have no job security. So yesterday's announcement was triggered toward them and quite well received in that they are the people who need the most help. Let's switch gears to another pretty critical story today. I'm going to have to change the paper for this to the Times of India, and it's on the front page at the bottom right, and it talks about how our country yesterday saw the second highest spike in cases that we've recorded since the beginning of the virus. It was around 3,995 cases, so that's nearing the 4,000 mark, and our total infections now go past the 80,000 crore mark. What's particularly alarming is that in Maharashtra alone, our toll has crossed 1,000, and 55% of the deaths are in May alone. So, and Mumbai's share of that is 621. So, undividedly, Maharashtra is definitely the hotspot here, and we need to be increasingly careful going forward. The doubling rate is also looking like it's going to spike. And now, not just in Maharashtra, if you look at Tamil Nadu, it's overtaken Gujarat as the second highest cases. Kerala has reported 26 new cases, and we thought they were doing really well with it. So resurgence of sorts also creeping into certain states which were previously free from the virus. Let's move forward a little bit. Now in Maharashtra, like we were talking about earlier, this lockdown might be getting extended. So it most likely, that's what the papers say today, will be extended till the 31st of May. It'll be strictly implemented in the red zones, especially in Mumbai, Pune, Malegaon, Pimpri, Chinchwad, which have contributed to the maximum number of COVID-19 cases so far. So, you know, later this week, Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray held a meeting with some cabinet colleagues, and it seems that they'll be reaching a decision regarding the final date for what our lockdown extension will be for May. As of now, extension is looking quite likely. All right, so now we have, switching gears a bit, we are looking at the FMCG space, and Mondelez have requested the government that though they have jobs, they don't have workers who can come for work. Hence, they're requesting their higher caps on labor deployment. Vinny now joins in with all the details in this story. Over to you, Vinny.
A new request coming in from the top consumer good companies like HUL, Nestle, Britannia, Parle. All these companies have written to the government saying that, you know, increase the work deployment to 75% in green and orange zone and 50 to 60% in red zone. Currently, the cap is at 33%. Now, the companies are saying that they cannot meet the consumer demand because they do not have enough workforce. So, they are saying that please let us hire more workforce. They are also willing to pay overtime as they want them to increase the work shift time to 12 hours. So, some of the states have accepted this offer of overtime and, you know, increasing the time to 12 hours like Punjab, Madhya Pradesh and Haryana, while other states have still not taken a stand. So, let's see if they come up to a uniformity in this matter as well. Now, Warren Berry did say that, you know, if the government increases the capacity, this will help them meet the consumer demand adequately. Currently, they are not meeting the demand of the consumers, and, you know, they cannot provide these essential goods as well or as much as it is in demand. Even Parle said that they're working only at 60 to 65% production capacity, and, you know, there could be increased capacity to meet the rapid demand. HUL also said that they must have missed out on certain demand because they do not have enough workforce, and that is why the results also saw a decline of 7% in volume growth. So let's see how this actually works out with the government.
All right, thanks for that, Vinny. So clearly the issue is not only the availability of jobs, it's also the availability of the workforce. Switching gears a bit, let's get you a quote from Piyush Goyal. It's about confidence in the nation that you can produce quality products, that you can produce in a cost-competitive manner, that you can compete with anybody in the world, that you can compete with even given some of the disadvantages that we face. That's Piyush Goyal from the Commerce and Industry Minister. He's talking about self-reliance, our ability to compete, and of course COVID has shown a lot of cracks that we have in terms of dependency on other nations, and as we move forward, we're looking forward to a more self-reliant and self-sufficient India. That's also been the keynote in every single PM or FM address that we've heard recently. Moving forward, Utkarsh is now joining in. He's here with a quick take on SEBI relaxing the rules for minimum 25% public shareholding. Over to you, Utkarsh.
Varun, SEBI has been relaxing a lot of norms, and we can, get one or two circulars by SEBI every 1 or 2 days, relaxing norms for the companies. Now, what has come in yesterday is that the minimum public shareholding, which was supposed to be kept till 25%, that has been has been given a leeway. So it's an October 2017 order, and what the SEBI circular says that even if the companies do not match this requirement in the period from March to August, they will not be levied any fines or penalties. Otherwise, there are penalties which under the circular which was circulated back in October 2017 for the same, and the exchanges have also been announced, informed for the same. At this point of time, you have to have 25% minimum public shareholding, and there were some companies which had to adhere to the norms and adhere to these numbers from March until August. So again, there has been a host of reforms and measures being taken not only by RBI but SEBI as well. This one coming one of them.
All right, Utkarsh. Thank you so much for getting us that. Let's move forward a little bit. After PM Modi's address, like we just said, talking about self-reliance, make in India, being self-sufficient, Patanjali has actually taken initiative and come forward, and they'll be launching an e-commerce platform which will have delivery to your homes of strictly made in India products. This will also be very inclusive of their own product basket which they'll offer, but the idea is to push along the idea of self-reliance and that we should purchase goods that are made in India and encourage manufacturing in India. Moving forward a little bit, let's also get you, what's happening in the Times of India, top 5 relating to the coronavirus, right? So this is more virus-related information. Free ration for 8 crore migrant workers for 2 months. So, that's really relieving these urban poor. They've just been so badly hit, and they're stuck, and all their projects are stuck too, so they're not even getting paid right now. As a lot of work in the city has come to a standstill. So some good, at least, food for these guys, free ration for 2 months, and 8 crore people, so a very large number. 100 deaths in every 2 days in Maharashtra, and 1K dead so far. So like we flagged off earlier in the day, Maharashtra, the epicenter, the death rate is climbing, and the cases are also climbing very sharply. In Mumbai specifically, your cases are growing at 6.7%, with 1,000 infected in 5 wards. The death rate, however, is interesting now. At the same time, some people prefer to look at the death rate because that's what they really believe is the impact of the virus, and that has come down to 4% from 7%. So, that's quite a positive sign. Your overall cases are surging, but less people are dying. So that means that we as a nation are achieving more and more herd immunity, and that's a good sign. And also then 17 migrants die en route home and 93 injured in a day. So that's quite sad. As all the migrants are heading home, there's been some casualties and some very severe injuries as well. Moving forward to another pretty key story. The Delhi government has suggested the centre to reopening of shops in all markets, shopping complexes, and malls must be allowed to open on an odd-even day basis. After May 17th, this is, or after the lockdown opening. Now, if the lockdown gets extended, this date might change as well. This comes after the Prime Minister had asked the Chief Ministers to submit state-specific strategies by May 15th on the meeting that was held on the 11th of May. So we'll be looking out for some closing commentary on this as well. At the current juncture, a lot of people might speculate whether it's really right to open up these places of large public gatherings. Chandra is now joining us, my colleague, with the latest on the Vijay Mallya case and his plea that seems to have been rejected. Good morning, Chandra. Over to you.
Hi, Varun. Good morning. So, Vijay Mallya could be back in India within a month because the Supreme Court in London has refused Vijay Mallya's application to appeal against his extradition. Now, we reached out to the UK Crime Prosecution Service yesterday, and they confirmed that his oral admission has been denied. Also, his application to appeal to the Supreme Court has also been denied. So this decision delivered remotely marks the end of a long battle that started in 2016 after Vijay Mallya left to the UK. Remember, he owes over 9,000 crore to the government and banks. He, of course, has been saying that he's willing to pay back everything. Even in a tweet yesterday, he said that he wants to close the issue, but both the Indian and the UK governments want to move forward with the extradition. Now, the only niggling point here is that Mallya has an option to knock on the doors of the European Court of Human Rights on the ground that his extradition impairs his human rights. So if that happens, the process of bringing him back to India could take longer, but that doesn't stop New Delhi and London to continue with the extradition process. So if all that happens in the next 28 days, we could see Vijay Mallya being brought back to India, bringing a long extradition process to a close and also set an example to other willful defaulters. So that's the latest as far as the high-profile Vijay Mallya case is concerned. Over to you.
Thank you, Chandra. It's really quite interesting to see that Vijay Mallya has been repeatedly, tweeting to the government, writing to them. He's willing to pay everything he owes, but at this point, no one seems to care. The time has passed, and he now has to pay the penalty for his dues, or for his actions, rather. At least that's what the government's attitude is saying. Moving forward.